Hi YouTubers, welcome to my YouTube channel, The World I Live In at the susankworld, where it's all about personal growth and development. Today I have something very exciting to share with you, and it's about a personality. But before I get into it, I would like you to subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification button, share and comment. I have somebody here that I do admire. He's a personal friend. He's in the category of friends. And it's very exciting to have him on set today. And what he's going to say is going to impact your life. Some time back, I shared something on parenting, and we were talking about some of the issues that change the lives of children, some of the decisions that we take as parents that actually make children turn out into what we want them to be than what they are supposed to be. Andrew will be sharing with us that kind of decision that was taken on his behalf, a very interesting decision that will make you understand certain things about yourself, about other people that you meet. So I would like to start by having Andrew introduce himself. But what's amazing, before he actually introduces himself, by the way, something that drew me to you.
Oh, yeah.
One, I came to understand it was a spiritual connection.
Indeed.
But I later found out on your Twitter handle, there's something that you say about yourself.
Oh, yes.
It's something that is very positive. How do you call yourself? How do you identify yourself?
Omuntu Wa Wansi.
Other than being a Omuntu Wa Wansi,
Yes.
he says something that is so profound as a
Yes.
You call yourself a multi-talented person.
Yes.
You call yourself a next generation leader. And you also call yourself a
African
person.
Yes.
So you see, that was something very profound for me. Why? Because in most cases, when we say certain things about ourselves, people think we are just being proud.
No.
We are just getting ahead of ourselves.
Oh, yes.
But you know, there are certain words that we use about ourselves actually that are us. They are us. That's what I see in you, and I am very proud of that. So I would like to welcome you. I would like to welcome you, Andrew.
It's great to be
YouTube
in your
channel.
world.
Yeah, the world, the Susan K world.
The world you live in.
Yeah, the world that I live in.
Well, to your audience, I really want to say I'm very honored to be here. Susan is a remarkable, profound person in our industry, and every other day I wish we could have people who are godly and they are in your caliber. But
thank you.
We thank God for today. Well, me, I am a multi-talented person. That is true. I'm Pan-African, and I am Omuntu Wa Wansi, and I'll tell you why I'm Omuntu Wa Wansi.
And what is Omuntu Wa Wansi?
Omuntu Wa Wansi initiative. It's an initiative that I run. It's entirely to remind people that no one is going to change your storyline.
Exactly.
It's entirely about you. So we have a support structure in Africa where you have your father, maybe your family, your relatives, your church leaders, your local leaders, then the national leaders. So we are designed in a way that we are always lamenting and asking for what are they doing for us? What are they giving us? We are not saying what are we doing. So for Omuntu Wa Wansi initiative, we do the reverse mechanics.
As a person.
Yes. What are you doing about yourself? Before you call your friends and family, your church leaders, your dominion leaders, your local leaders, what effort have you taken as you to transform your life that they can just come and plug in? So that's what Omuntu Wa Wansi is all about. It's to remind people that you are actually a god in your own making. You have the strength, you have the drive. All you need to do is just to plug into this, because the Omuntu Wa Wansi initiative, we are very aggressive. We'll push you, we'll nag you with what you have to be doing until when you change your storyline.
You are accountability partners,
absolutely.
So to say.
So when it comes to the issue of Africa, so in Africa, every other person is directly proportional to 7 dependents. But we don't see that coming. We at times say, possibly I could help them from that side, but how are you preparing them to become independent, that they don't depend on you only? What if you die? So what becomes of them? It's to give that structure that someone can understand that all these people I'm trying to talk to, all these people I'm helping, can I help them with hands off? It's about It's about information. It's about contacts. It's about structures where they're going to plug in. And if I have all these, I'm going to avail it to them, and they can become the people they want to be.
Okay.
So that is Omuntu Wa Wansi.
That is quite a mouthful. You know, in the world that I live in, actually, one of the key things that we believe in is that you are your own rescue.
Absolutely.
And I did pick that from the book of Isaiah, I think chapter 52, where I think where God was saying that rise up, awake, remove the shackles from yourself, shake yourself up, and do what you're supposed to do. So it's not about you waiting for other people to come and help you. But what should I do? What should I initiate as a person?
And then they will plug in.
And then the other person will come in. So welcome to my world. That is my very, very, very world. That is what we talk about.
No wonder you said it was a divine spiritual connection, which I strongly believe up to today. Where I stand, my family, I come from a very funny family though.
Interesting family. It's not fun, it's interesting.
Interesting family. My father wanted me to be a pastor, which I think up to today he still believes I'm on the right path, which I still want to dispute. And he did this because he wanted me to become, he saw in me that I could be a pastor. But I said, well, I cannot be a pastor. Me, I can be what I want to be. I thrive on people. I love people. I love to hear their stories. So the best I can do is to be a journalist. He said, no, you're going to be a pastor. So he sent me to UK, to Durban University. I went, I studied, I got ordained. I came back, I gave him his papers.
You got ordained as?
As a pastor.
So you are a professional pastor?
Yes.
Professionally, you are
Yes,
a
professionally,
pastor.
because
Your
I studied theology.
Profession.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So my first profession was in theology.
Okay, so on your degree, what do we have written? You got a bachelor's in what?
Bachelor's in theology.
In theology.
But I gave it to my father because that was his, it wasn't mine.
Okay.
Yes.
Right there, actually, right there, that's the one thing that touched me.
Yes.
When I heard your story.
Yes.
Because when I shared about parenting and how parents actually they impose certain things, most probably things they would have loved to achieve for themselves, and they didn't.
Yes.
So they choose their children to do those things, and once we do them, they see fulfillment through us.
Which is wrong.
It is actually very, very, very wrong. Because I remember growing up, my dad had the same concept about us. He was somebody from the medical field. He was a health practitioner, a health inspector. He was a health inspector. So he always wanted to see one of his children get into a health-related field. Unfortunately, we are all artists. And I remember one thing that really stuck to me, one thing that stuck in my mind was that he always said, I wish one of you would do this for me, you know, for me.
I can't.
It's not about you as a child, but it's for the parent. So at the end of the day, thanks be to God, none of us did it.
Yes.
He died, most probably he died disappointed, but none of us did follow those footsteps because simply that is not what we wanted to do. So I want to ask, now looking back, the day you meet your father and he's like, Andrew, you're through with your S6, now this is what I want you to do. What happened in that moment? Take us back to that moment.
The thing is, I was skeptical. One, I was excited getting done with Senior 6, and in my mind I was like, possibly this is something I can dive into. And I loved church because I grew up in church, but there were issues within the church that made me hate the church.
You literally hated the church.
Yes, I hated the church.
What was going on in church?
I was seeing a lot of double standards, especially with the pastors, with the youth leaders. They would advocate that they want to see you grow, but I would see them sabotage
your growth.
My growth and other youthful boys and girls coming up. I would see how technically they would shoot them down, and I wasn't ready for this kind of nonsense. I said, no, I'm not going to. So when he told me you're going to be a pastor, I said, me? To be a leader of these people who are always suppressing people? No, I'm not going to do that.
To be one of those suppressing people.
So he said, you know what? We are not going to discuss this. Either you're going to sponsor yourself or no. Before I knew, I was on flight to UK. I was there, I was studying, I was doing Cheyo. If you've never been to the UK and you've worked in the UK, you don't know what they call hustle. Because you jump out of a lecture, you have to go into a diner and you work those hours, you go, you sleep. You just can't have enough.
It's like clockwork.
Yes, it's a clockwork. You're working like you're on automation. And it would kill the entire feel of being normal. As if, I'm a Muganda, I'm an African. At times it takes time and breathe. That could not happen. So when I got done with everything, I said, let me focus. I do this thing once, I leave. When I came back, I told him, here you are.
Okay. So you go and study for how many years?
I was there for 4 years.
4 years?
Yes.
4 years?
Yes.
You wasted, literally.
Yes.
Wasted.
But
4 years.
I would still say this, Sue, that ironically I didn't waste. I think what my father was trying to give me as a foundation, he didn't want me to get clouded into the current dispensation.
The secular too much.
The secular, because there is a lot of homosexuality going on, there is a lot of bestiality going on and paraphilia. So all these were all around and was like, this boy is too ambitious. If he's not well guided, something will go off. So when I went to the UK, one thing that happened is that I unplugged from my society.
Okay.
And I started to understand on the other context, how do they live? But I was studying this from the biblical approach. And after those 4 years, I can proudly say that now I can stand and I look at things from the spiritual lens, from the personal lens, from the technical lens. It's not those are not wasted years.
Okay.
The only challenge I have is that I don't practice. But guess what? Even when I meet him, he says, before you die, you'll be a pastor somewhere. And I wish him luck.
But you know what's amazing?
Yes.
You know, in that, there's one thing that I have gotten.
Yeah.
That your dad, in doing that, given the prevailing circumstances,
Yes.
actually it was an act of protection.
Indeed.
He wanted to protect you.
Yes.
So it wasn't so much of him wanting you to go and do this thing.
I don't know.
But there was that form of protection.
Yes. The
for
only
you.
way the Bible says that teach a kid or a child
The way to go.
The way to go. And
when
even
they
if
are
when he grows old, no matter how successful I want, at times my ceiling is my cultural beliefs.
Exactly.
My religious beliefs. I'm like, you see.
So it worked.
So you let it go.
So it did work. It did work. At the
Absolutely.
end of the day,
Yes,
it's a good thing. But do you think, are you the only boy?
Yes,
I'm
the only boy.
And are you the last born?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, now that is a whole ball game together.
Don't get it twisted, Sue. My parents were very hard on me.
Okay.
At one time, I remember asking my mother, "Naye Gwanzara," and she was like, "Why?" I said, "The way people treat me here, it's more like I'm in a military.
It was like a
base or
military
something.
academy.
They were tough on me. Dude would wake up and say, "Okola java." Like I was like, what's going on? There was too much rage in his face. And I was like, so every time I would see him, I would be like, what's your problem?
But you know, Andrew.
And he kept saying, until when you grow up and you understand what I'm building you for, I'm not ready for you to appreciate me. I'm going to be what I have to be. So he was that conservative African man who would come out of the dance and say, you wish you could die. But on the other side, my mother loved me so much, so much, that I could never even see the hard times. When we had famine in this country, I never saw famine. And my sisters tell me today that mother used to say, abala mwenna muyinza okubula ekyoka naye andi talina kubulwa kyakulya.
Andi yali last born now. You know. Once you're the last born, there always has to be something for you. They were
But up to today, I want to stand tall and say that I thank my parents, one, for giving me attention. They paid attention, very keen attention to me, and for exposing me.
Okay.
If I wasn't paid attention to and if I wasn't exposed, possibly I would be gullible to the current trends of the world.
Okay. So when you come back from the UK, you have this degree, you hand it over to your dad.
Yes.
And then you're like, there is your...
Yes, I told him now I want to study
your
journalism.
Papers. Now I want to study this thing that I've always desired.
He told me
what
there
happens?
is no money.
Okay.
There is no money. I don't have money to take you to school for that. Two, what you want to study has no money.
Okay. Now
And he gave me a simple yardstick. Mbulyayo munamawulire omu gw'olaba nga is profoundly in what he does and he's comfortable. These guys are never stable. You're going into an industry that is unprecedented. It changes. It's unwavering. You're ogenda zanyazala.
So looking at it from his perspective, his perspective was more of money.
Yes.
For you, it was more of passion.
Absolutely.
It was more of passion.
Yes.
So, and it's a lie that actually journalism has no money. I guess it depends.
Unless you're not well exposed and not well researched, there is no money.
Exactly.
But if you're well exposed and researched and grounded, there is money.
You know what you
Yes.
want, you know what you have to do then.
It works out.
Yeah, I believe that actually there is no career that does not pay off, that is not profitable.
That is a complex.
Yeah, it's complex, but you know what happens?
Yeah, people
You
die
see-
anyway.
You know what happens, by the way, what you see as complex, it's like when you look at a comedian and you're like, how do these guys even get these jokes? How do they make people even laugh?
But somehow they do.
They do it because that is who they are and they profit from it.
Yes.
Yet if you said to your parent that I want to be a comedian, they would actually arrest you, take you to jail, they would do all sorts of things.
They will
But
send you
today
to a
people
tough
have
You get an idea.
people have
Absolutely.
studied all these subjects. At the end of the day, they put those degrees aside and pursue what they love.
Indeed.
So I think sometimes parents have to slow down a bit. But again, coming from our generation of parents, I would like to categorize your parents as
Your generation.
my generation
yes.
of parents. These were very, 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 very traditional men. And especially our fathers. They were very traditional men. And there is a way they viewed society. And they didn't want anything to change.
Absolutely.
They didn't want anything to change.
Yes.
So you would not come with your new ideas. You know, it was the same thing with me. When I said I was going to do mass comm, I did mass comm, did journalist, and my father kept on wondering what is all this she's talking about. And but eventually he realized when I started doing what I'm doing, actually it made him very proud when they tell him, you know, when your father is in the village and they tell him your daughter was everywhere on TV. It's like, okay.
Oh, that's mine. This is the irony. My father's never watched me on TV do anything.
Really?
Yes, he's stuck to his mind until this guy is a pastor. I'm not watching anything.
But you know what's interesting? For me, when as I was looking through your profile, I know you do a lot of emceeing at weddings.
Yes.
And one of the things that you do for your couples is that you pray with them.
Yes, I pray with them.
You talk to them.
Yes.
So actually, as you said, that time was not a waste.
It's not a waste because
It's not easy to talk to people just speaking from the air. You have something that is in you, something that is solid.
Grounded
So for him, he might be thinking that for you to be a pastor is open up a church. But you're literally
you're
pastoring people. You are.
I'm glad you're saying this. You should watch this program. Oh, Lord.
Yeah, you are pastoring people somehow.
Oh, yes.
You know, I told you that the thing was a spiritual connection.
Yes,
you know,
indeed.
we are only drawn. You can be drawn to somebody, either they are from the light or from the darkness.
Oh, yes.
But being that you're somebody who went and studied this whole thing, and I am a very spiritual person, I am a pastor at that. So I preach the gospel, I teach, and I do so many things. I am very prayerful as well. So I serve God.
Wow.
So it's like somehow you get drawn to certain people because of that.
The Spirit will always find the right person to plug in.
Because of that which you carry in you. So that is one thing that really, really, really amazed me about you, that you were able to go, study, bring the degree, give it to your dad and say, I'm going to pursue my own journey.
Yes.
So I want you to take us back, because you see, sometimes people's dreams die out. You had this dream to become a journalist.
Yes.
And I have a reason why I read out your profile.
Yeah.
Because you had this dream and you stuck to the vision.
Yes.
And, you know, at the end of the day, it has manifested.
Absolutely.
You see, it has manifested. Just like we are told in Habakkuk to write down our vision. Write down your vision. Write it down. And at a certain time, at an appointed time, it will manifest. And I think that is what literally has happened to you. So I want you to take us to the time when you come back and now you have to take yourself through the mass communication degree. Now to start pursuing that very thing that you want.
Well,
what happened within that time?
The first thing was it was very challenging mentally and psychologically to plug into the Ugandan market. I've spent 4 years in the UK, and here I come back to a country that has a lot of potholes, that has people who are not coordinated.
Okay, remember potholes, that's where I work,
Oh,
so we
yeah,
will forget
because
about that.
I was like, God, what's going on? And the people, whenever I used to tell them that, you see in life you have to live with this, they said, oli muduzungu. So it was hard to get friends who understand what I see. And again, it was hard for me to stay grounded. Either I get complacent with their situation or I pursue my dream. So I said, you know what, I'm going to make this work. So before I did that, I said, but I need to first start a business. The business I could do around, I tried to look for jobs. No one was giving me jobs. So what I did, I started to make juice.
Okay.
Yes, I started to make juice, and I used to supply the current women. That was then UEB. I would take the juice in the afternoon, and some other offices. I would sell one glass at 1,000, one at 500. Then hang around Kampala a bit. I used to always love to stay in Kampala for 2 reasons. To see how fast people were driving and how urgent people were walking.
Okay, why?
Because this could trigger my instinct. I'm like, nekato ya yangu, aina chicha agendo kumaliriza. This my mind would stay on course. Then in the evening, on my way back home, I would buy fruits from the traders on the streets. I'd buy carrots, I'd buy watermelon, I'd buy cucumber, and I would go with them at home. And I wash them, put them in the fridge in the morning. I wake up, do my juice, put in the deep freezer, mukaga chitundu, I move out. I was trying to save some money, but while keeping my tabs on the day-to-day run of the city. But I was like, this is not making sense. This is not my calling. Just again, I turned that juice.
You have a theology degree,
I
and
have
here
a
you are
theology
selling.
Meanwhile, when I was doing all that, I didn't even care that I have a theology degree. I was doing totally something different. I'm very happy with what I do. During that time when I was so much in the markets and buying and doing all that juice business, that's when I plugged a lot into what they call Omuntu Wa Wansi. I could ask these ladies and they say, Kyamagero, dero bogenda kwewola, John Kubanja, ate omwana wange mulwadde. So I started getting interested in how these guys thrive through thin and thick with Migepe. Somehow I got to understand that. But it wasn't making sense to me. Then I said, you know what, I'm just going to go online and get to know what radio station is there.
Okay. Now, in our next video, we will be, Andrew will be sharing more of his journey into this person that he has ended up being. He will be also sharing with us about his marriage, his dear wife, his children, his family. And it's very exciting. So wait for our next video. Later on.